How does Elon Musk turn that around?
Yeah, and I honestly think that as upsetting as these, acts of vandalism are, it's actually not the thing that people who are interested in the company should be focused on. What people should be focused on is sales, which are also falling, right? So we're obviously seeing activists and Elon Musk becoming kind of a target for anyone who's mad at anything that's happening with the Trump presidency. But you're also seeing a lot of people just not buying the cars, right? Who are maybe put off by the vibes, and Musk and members of the Trump administration are of course trying to turn that around. You talked about Lutnick, you talked about Trump on the South Lawn doing kind of a infomercial, it seemed, for Tesla, and of course Musk himself having this surprise all hands meeting that was broadcast live, not a normal thing for the company. It really seemed like he was speaking both to employees, try to get them to keep their heads up, but of course also trying to speak to the broader public, try to remind people, I am more than just the guy who cuts costs for Donald Trump.
Max, I have a question. You often hear about President Trump saying to people that just aren't working out well for him or for his image, we'll see you later. Is there a point when Elon Musk is like, this is really affecting my business, or is he so into doing what he's doing now that he's so wealthy that he just takes the lump?
Well, I don't think that Musk is going to completely back away from Trumpism, from his support of Donald Trump. I think that the thing to keep an eye on is kind of the relationship between his actions in the White House and what it's doing to Tesla sales and what it's doing to Tesla stock. I could see if the stock dropped a lot more. It's fallen by about 50% since reaching a high in mid-December. If it fell, say, another 50%, you could imagine Musk doing more than just doing an all hands, right? Concluding that, hey, the company needs me, I need to step in. And you're seeing analysts, including analysts who have been very bullish on Tesla, even bullish on the connection between Elon Musk and Donald Trump, starting to say, like, we're reaching a crisis point. Now, Musk, of course, very strong-headed, likes to do things his way. And I also think there are questions about once you've sort of pressed this button, whether you can unpress it. Once you've made your brand this Trump-coded, this connected to such a divisive, a leading politician in either party, whether you can kind of get it back.
Well, the politicization of a brand is really something, Max. You saw the Washington Post reporting the number of Tesla owners trading in their cars surged to a record high in March. In many cases, these were climate-focused liberals who were trying to buy electric cars to be climate-friendly and have something cool to drive around here. The former vice presidential nominee for the Democratic Party was talking the other day about not only how great it was the stock was down, but how to use dental floss to remove the Tesla logo from your car. Are we going to end up in a world where Republicans are driving Teslas and Democrats have to pick something else? Does Rivian become the Democratic car? How does this... In some ways, right, that's a positive scenario for Tesla, because, a world where, they sell hundreds of thousands of Cybertrucks, say, or where they're able to reach a lot of customers who don't already have electric cars. If you're really squinting and trying to see a strategy, maybe that's it. That said, as you're saying, Tesla's core customer base does not tend to be like super closely aligned with Donald Trump. Car buyers in general, make these decisions over long periods of time. You don't see car brands doing this, trying to connect their car to politics. It's not like some of these consumer brands that have there's like a right-wing coffee company. I'm not sure there's ever going to be a successful right-wing car company. And the last thing is, this effort to reach conservatives, maybe to reach people in red states, it hasn't been panning out. The Cybertruck, which was the big way to do that, it just hasn't sold that many units. It doesn't seem to be hitting it off with car buyers. And as much as Elon Musk is trying to, again, refocus things, maybe pump up investors, he doesn't seem to be trying to address that particular problem. What he's doing instead is saying you got to look way into the future to AI. Like, that is the story that he's telling investors, that this politics thing, even
even car sales are not going to matter, because ultimately Tesla is going to be selling robots and cyber cabs, driverless taxis, and so on. And that, this will all seem like a distraction one day. Again, very, very speculative, though.
Max, how does he calm the investors that basically think right now he's just doing too many jobs and he's not focused on them?
So the challenge for investors is that if you look at Tesla's valuation, it is way more highly valued than other car companies. Even with the drop in its stock, it kind of already has like an Elon Musk premium built into it. So it's not like, you could imagine companies where the CEO is in hot water and investors saying, oh, we got to force him out, replace him with somebody else, and that'll fix the stock price. In this case, a lot of the stock price is actually predicated on Elon Musk running Tesla. So they're kind of trapped between the boosters, these like retail investors, many of whom think, Elon Musk can do no wrong, and then maybe more sort of numbers-oriented folks who are looking at the sales, seeing they're falling, and then also looking at this long-term brand damage and saying, this is priced like a growth company, but we don't see any growth.
We're only talking about Tesla so far in this conversation. If we add SpaceX to the mix, Max, it gets to be interesting. Elon Musk was at the Pentagon this morning, and the White House was very upset about what they called fake news reports, saying that he was getting some sort of secret briefing on China war plans. But we do have the head of one of the most important government contractors, and I'll add defense contractors, in SpaceX. The conflict of interest is also raising a lot of attention here inside the Beltway.
Yeah, I mean, the China report that appeared in the New York Times and Journal was staggering because, of course, Elon Musk has deep connections with China, and also just because it's surprising that somebody who's not, part of those plans would have access to them. As you said, White House and Musk have denied it. But just the fact of this guy with tens of billions of dollars in government contracts, who clearly is seeking more, having this kind of easy access, to the highest levels of the Pentagon, that is potentially, of course, very good for business. I mean, I'm sure that if you were a competing defense contractor, you'd love to be able to just, stroll over to the White House and, sit at a table with the Secretary of Defense.
Yeah, I bet.
But of course, it's also, like a huge potential conflict of interest. I do wonder, too, we saw Tesla's stock go up some today. I think it was up about 5% on the day. You wonder how much of that was investors looking at the all hands, how much of it was looking at Elon Musk's continued access to Donald Trump and kind of making this bet that we've seen investors make for a long time, which is like, this guy has very close access. He can pull strings, with the world's most powerful government. He's going to find ways to make money. He's a resourceful guy. And so in that sense, like showing the continued alliance, for all the ways in which Trump is polarizing, he is also very valuable to somebody like Elon Musk.